Hi, this is Dr. Jeremy Marks, Assistant Professor of Trombone at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. We're going to be going over Melodious Etude number 37 from Marco Bordogni and Johannes Rochut's book of vocalises. Hi, this is Dr. Jeremy Marks, Assistant Professor of Trombone at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. We're going to be going over today the All-State Etude for the trombone from Melodious Etudes for trombone by Johannes Rochut and Marco Bordogni. This year's etude is number 37 in the book, so let's take a look at it. The first thing that might be a little overwhelming about this book is the fact that there's no place to breathe. After you start working on this, you're going to notice that there's a lot of technique involved and really no place to get a really good breath. Let your musical decisions govern the technique that's needed. Try to think musically and try to take breaths where necessary, but make them comfortable. We don't want to make any of this seem like it's hurried or rushed. I highly recommend that you take the time to think about how you want to phrase each of the phrases in the etude and think about them vocally or even practice singing them. When you sing through it, take note of where you're taking a breath. Those might be good places to indicate in the music to also take a breath when I'm playing on the trombone. Along with the technique, there might be some things that might also help, such as alternate positions. When we use alternate positions, it'll help make sure we get things off the ties easily, like in measure 24. I recommend playing that in 6th position as opposed to 1st position, because you're following that E sharp up with an F sharp, and it just lays a lot easier than going all the way to first. So that should help your technique. There's some other places where you could also play the C in sixth position as opposed to playing it in first position with the valve if you have a trombone that has one. Some editions say that the tempo should be as fast as 120 beats per minute. That's pretty quick, and it might feel a little hurried and even, dare I say, a little far away from the vocal quality that this was intended for. I recommend taking it a little under tempo and ultimately play it at a speed where you can play it comfortably and clean. There's a lot of technique involved, so we want to make sure that you're showing your best sound and what you're in control of. As you probably noticed on the page, there aren't very many dynamic markings. So it's going to be your job to make sure that you bring all the music to life. This is something that the judges are going to be listening for and something that's super, super important and shows maturity in your playing. Take some moments to let the music breathe. On top of taking breaths where you feel comfortable, there's some moments where some ritardandos I think are appropriate. For example, measure 38. Ultimately, make this sound comfortable and really, really smooth. Again, this is a vocal exercise written out for the trombone, so we want to make sure that our tone is first and foremost and that the technique complements our sound, not the other way around. This is Dr. Jeremy Marks, Assistant Professor of Trombone at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte. Happy practicing and best of luck.